Hello everyone, we are back again on our English lessons presentation on TV and radio. We still continue with our topic parts of speech, and this time we going to have a look at verbs. We said last time that parts of speech comprise a lot of things, including which are verbs. Now, verbs are very important in the English language. They are important, so much so important that you can hardly speak to make sense without one. Before we start anything, we first of all ask ourselves what are verbs, or what verbs are. Verbs are words that express action. In simple terms, they are doing words. It is important also to note that not all verbs do this. Not all verbs express action. Action like walk, stand, talk, listen, look. These are words that are words of action. Not all verbs do this. There are some verbs that only tell you what somebody is or what something is. Okay? In other words, these verbs state a state of being. They only tell you a situation. They tell you what something is. Whether the book is red or black, or whether somebody is tall, or whether someone is good. These are verbs that express a state of being. They only express a situation. Okay? Now there are verbs that express action as a group. Okay? For example, the pupils open their exercise books. You can see these underlined words are verbs that are expressing action. The teacher started the dictation. One of the pupils raised his hand. When they finished the exercise, the teacher collected all the books and marked them. Fatu got everything right, but her friend Mary made terrible mistakes, and the teacher underlined all of them. Now, the words opened, started, raised, finished, collected, marked, got, made, and underlined are actions that people do. However, a few verbs do a different thing. For example, Lamin is a clever boy. The verb here in that sentence is. Lamin is a clever boy. Fatu and Mary are good friends. Fatu and Mary are good friends. The headmaster was angry. The headmaster was angry. The headmaster was angry. So words here is, are, was. Are words that just tell us what people or what things are. In this case, what people are. Okay? What sort of person is Lamin? Lamin is a clever boy. Fatu and Mary are good friends. The headmaster, what was wrong with him? He was hungry. So it's the word was, are, is that tell us something about these people in these sentences. These verbs do not express what people do, rather, they just say how Lamin is, what Fatu and Mary are, and what state the headmaster was. They express a state of being. The most common among these verbs is the verb to be. The verb to be, am, is, are, was, were. Is, are, was, were. Okay? These are what we call the verb to be. They come from the infinitive to be. Okay? The verb to be. I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, I was, you were. Okay? These are verb to be. Mark them because we're going to have a lot to do with them later on in this lesson and lessons to come. These verbs often have an adjective after them. Okay? When they are used in a sentence, not all the time, but most of the time, sometimes, when they are used, we have an adjective after them. Okay? In your other lessons, you did adjectives. You said there are words that tell you something about the noun. In other words, they describe nouns. Okay? So these verbs will give you the adjective after them. Okay? Okay? Now, let's look at this. Underline the verbs expressing an action in the following sentences. The children, but before that, let's a little bit go back. Okay. For example, we say, is, are, was, were, are from the verb to be. And most of the times, they have an adjective after them. For example, the teacher. You can say the teacher is kind to his students. The verb in the sentence is is. Is. And this is followed by this. In your other lesson, you learned about adjectives, words that tell you something about the noun. If you look at this sentence, you have teacher, and this word is talking about teacher. What sort of person is this teacher? It's a kind man. Okay? So immediately after the is, you have an adjective. That's what is meant by the fact that the verb to be is, are, were, or was, most of the times have an adjective after them. Now, let us look at this practice, this exercise. Underline the verbs expressing an action in the following sentences. Okay. Number one, the first sentence. The children played football. The children played football. 2, the girls danced. The boy ran away. The teacher gave us an exercise. We learned grammar at school. Now, look at the verbs in the sentence here. The children played football, played. The girls danced. Danced is underlined. The boy ran away. Ran is also underlined. The teacher gave us an exercise. Gave is also underlined in this sentence. We learn grammar at school. Learn is also underlined in this sentence. Now let us look at these 5 words that are underlined in these sentences. Okay. Are they action words, words that express action, or are they the other group? That is, words that don't do action, but they tell you what people or what things are. Here we have played, danced, ran, gave, and learned. They all express action. They are that category of verbs that express action. Sometimes the verb can be in two parts in the sentence. For example, the children are running in the field. The children are running in the field. You can have two words underlined there. You have and you also have running. The children are running in the field. The teacher is giving us an exercise. You have is and you have giving. The teacher will give us an exercise. The girls are dancing. The boy has run away. The fisherman can carry a heavy basket. So in that one, the fisherman, you have can. And you also have carry. The fisherman can carry a heavy basket. So you have can. It should have been underlined in that sentence. And the carrier. So can is also a verb. The reason why we say verbs in two parts is, if you look at these sentences, you cannot simply say the children running in the field. The sentence will not be complete. It will not make full sense. You cannot say the teacher giving us an exercise. And this is how some of us speak, so we have to be careful. The teacher will give us an exercise. If I just say the teacher give us an exercise, I'm giving this sentence a different meaning altogether without the word will. The teacher will give us an exercise. The girls are dancing. If I leave out the word are in that sentence and just say dancing, the girl dancing, the girls dancing, I will sound ridiculous. I will sound very funny, and the language will not even be correct. The girls dancing. This is how some of us speak, though, but it's very wrong. There must be something to help the word dancing, and that is are. And that will give you the full meaning of what you want to say. The boy has run away. You cannot simply say the boy ran away. One, it is wrong, and two, the meaning is still lacking. Okay? The fisherman can carry a heavy basket. Okay? The fisherman carry a heavy basket. This is how some of us speak. Okay? Though it is wrong, but if you also leave out can here in this sentence, you are changing the meaning of the sentence. So sometimes this is what happens with verbs. If we don't know how to use verbs correctly in sentences, we totally change the meaning of what we want to say or write. That's why in English language, all other parts of speech are important, but one of the most important one, among them is the verbs. Because you can't speak without a verb. It's hardly even difficult to construct a sentence or to say a sentence without using a verb. Okay? So the good usage, the proper usage, or the way we use verbs is also very important. As students, we need to learn seriously to understand that. Otherwise, we will always be making mistakes when we speak, and we will always be misunderstood by people who listen to us or who read what we write. So take note of that. Now these small verbs that go with the main verbs are generally called helping verbs. Yes. Are running. They help what we call the main verb, the action verb, the other verb that carries the main meaning of what we want to say, the action that we want to do. Here is running. The main action is running. Okay? But you cannot write it alone without the help of this. Okay? So it must be either is running, are running, were running, and so on and so forth. I'm running. But one of them, the verb to be, must come to help this running. We call them helping verbs. They have other names. But we will not go into that. Maybe in subsequent lessons we will look at some of those things. Okay? So more examples include, the little girl is looking at her mother. Is helping the verb looking. We could see the new moon in the sky on the first day of Ramadan. Could see. We could see. We have can and could. Okay? They mean the same thing. The only difference is the time we say them and under what situation we say them could be different. Okay, we'll not go into that. Our lesson later on will show what I am trying to say. Could and can are related, very, very related. So they change one at one time due to something. Okay, we could see the new moon. So see is the verb here. It's the action. Okay, helped by the helping verb could. We could see the new moon. The cat has caught a mouse. The cat has caught. The cat has caught a mouse. So has, caught. Has is helping the verb caught. Okay? Caught is also from the verb catch, to catch something. Okay? To catch something. Caught is from that verb. Okay? When we go through these verbs in our subsequent lessons, we will learn the relationship between caught and catch also. Okay? We will not go too much into that today. Now, let's look at the next practice here. Now, underline the verbs in two parts in the following sentences. We said verbs can be in two parts. That is, we have a helping verb that we now learn to know that this is a helping verb helping the other verb. Okay? We call it verbs in two parts. Okay? The boy will run a race in the next inter-house athletics competition. The boy will run. Will run. Okay? A race. So will is one part and run is another part. The sun is shining. So as you watch this program, try to be looking at these things and answering them before we come to the correction part. The secretary will write a letter. What time will the lesson start? What is he doing? Let's look at how we can answer these things. The boy will run a race in the next inter-house athletics competition. So the answer should have been will and run. The sun is shining. Is shining. The sun is shining. The secretary will write a letter. The secretary will write a letter. Will write. The secretary will write. The verbs in two parts are will and write. What time will the lesson start? Not necessarily can they all be together all the time. Sometimes they can be different parts of the sentence. What time will the lesson start? So you have will the lesson start? What is he doing? Is and doing again. Those are the answers for that. Practice 3. Underline the verbs that say what people or things are in the following sentence. The donkey is tired. The donkey is tired. Those flowers are beautiful. Amy was unhappy. The passengers of the vehicles were hungry. The teacher is very kind. And the answers to those questions are: the donkey is tired. Is the verb that tells you what people or things are. It's telling you what the donkey is. Those flowers are beautiful. Are. Amy was unhappy. Was. The passengers of the vehicle were tired. So were here is the verb that tells you what the passengers are, or what the passengers were. The teacher is very kind. Is the verb here that tells what people or things are. Now put suitable forms of the verb to be into the following blank spaces. The defeated team dash dash very unhappy. I dash dash glad that you are here. My dog dash dash very clever. The girls dash dash pretty. So the verb to be, we are talking about this group. These are the verbs that we call the verb to be. Is, are, were, and was. So we use one of them to fill the blank spaces in the following. Okay? The defeated team, you could say, was very unhappy. You can even still say the defeated team is. But most of the times it's a team that has been defeated in the match. So maybe it could be action in the past. But it can be also action that happens in the present. Okay, so is and was, any one of them can be okay. I am glad that you are here. I am glad that you are here. Okay, so here you can only have am. My dog is very clever. Is the possible word that you can put there. The girls are pretty. You can also say the girls were pretty. Okay, the girls are pretty. Those two are possibilities in that same sentence. So before we close, you will have a homework. You put verbs expressing an action into the blank spaces. The gatekeeper dash dash the door. The thief dash dash over the fence. The aeroplane dash dash from London to Banjul. Copy these sentences somewhere quickly. And when we meet again, we'll look at them together. Let's have a quick recap. We go back a little bit and look at the most important points in this whole exercise. First of all, we say verbs are words that express action. In other words, they are doing words. They are words that we do. But not all verbs do this action. There are verbs that are very small, but they tell us what things are or what people are. In other words, they tell us how people feel or what situation they are in. For example, the man is a fat man. The man is very fat. It's telling us how the man is looking. Is there is the verb. I am a teacher. Am there is the verb. It's telling you what I am. You are students. Are is the verb. So these small verbs are also verbs, but they don't express action. They tell us what people or things are. And the chief among them is the group we call the verb to be. That is, are, was, were, and am. You need to learn them further. Okay? And in a sentence, sometimes you can have the verb in two parts. Not only the verb expressing an action, but you can also have a verb that helps the verb that is expressing an action. Okay? In our next lesson, we'll go deeper to look at those verbs in two parts in further details as to how they go about with these verbs. So the homework, we'll have a look at it when we come back next class.